All right, everyone, ready to dive in. Ever feel like your internal compass is a little, off?
Yeah.
Today, we're tackling what makes us tick our values. We've all thought about them, right?
hmm
But we're going deeper. Like, how did these values even form in the first place?
It's like a mystery, isn't it? And the thing is, our values aren't just random. They come from this mix of stuff things inside us and things we pick up along the way.
A value system mystery. I'm hooked already. So, first up, those internally driven values. These are the biggies, the core principles that just feel right?
Exactly. And they're not necessarily inherited. It's more like we build these ourselves through thinking about our experiences and who we want to be.
So, no more cookie cutter beliefs.
No more cookie cutters. Think of it like building your house. You choose the layout, what it's made of, the style, all of it, based on, well, your needs, your preferences.
Okay, love that no cookie cutter beliefs.
Yeah.
But how do we actually figure out what those internal values are? Is it just a gut feeling?
It can be that intuitive, yeah, but it often goes deeper than that. Think about a time you stood up for something you believed in, even when it was hard. Or maybe a time you made a really tough choice, but it just felt right, true to yourself.
Ooh, yeah.
Those moments, those are like clues. They tell us about those internally driven values.
That reminds me of when I took the leap and, quit my corporate gig to do this. It was scary, but it felt so right. Like I was finally honoring something important to me, something I really valued.
Exactly. That feeling, that sense of this is so me, is a big part of those internally driven values. They come from our own journeys, the stuff we go through, the people we connect with, and they can change too as we learn and grow.
Our source material mentioned things like resilience, compassion, honesty, authenticity.
Yeah.
Would you say those are examples of values we develop through that kind of self-discovery?
Definitely. Those values often come out of those make or break moments. Like maybe you go through something really tough and discover how resilient you are, or you see injustice and bam, you feel this deep compassion.
So it's more than just having these values. It's about understanding where they come from,
Right.
how they've shaped us,
Yeah.
but what makes them so strong, so uniquely us.
It's that connection to authenticity. They resonate with who you are deep down, and that's what makes them such powerful guides in our lives.
Yeah. It's like this unshakable inner knowing, this is right for me, not because someone said so.
Yes, it's that ownership over your values that lets you be your true self. But, and this is where it gets interesting, even those custom-built values, they don't exist in a bubble.
Wait, so even those values we build ourselves might be influenced by things outside us. Okay, now I'm really interested. Let's get into that.
Let's do it. Let's talk about externally driven values, the other side of this whole values equation.
Externally driven values. Okay, so it's like we're stepping into a whole new room in this house we're building.
Right.
So where do these external influences even come from?
Well, think about it. The traditions you grew up with,
Yeah.
your family's beliefs, maybe a religious moral code, societal norms, it's all around us. Even those unspoken rules we just kind of absorb.
It's like inheriting a moral compass, in a way.
Totally. You don't have to start from scratch. Like, take the 10 Commandments or the 5 pillars of Islam. Those are long-standing ethical frameworks passed down for generations.
Yeah, we've got a point.
And it's not just religion. Cultural norms play a huge role, too. Like,
Yeah.
in many Asian cultures, there's a huge emphasis on respecting elders, right? Whereas in many Western societies, it's all about individual expression.
Oh, you know what? That actually reminds me of this time I was traveling abroad, and I totally messed up. It was at this business dinner, I completely missed some unspoken cultural rule.
Yeah,
It was so awkward.
it happens. But
Uh-huh.
it just goes to show you how powerful those unwritten rules can be. But, these external systems, they give us stability, a sense of belonging. We all kind of know how we're supposed to act, how to interact. That can be really helpful, especially when we're young and still figuring things out.
Sure, yeah, but. There's always a but, right?
Of course.
It can't all be sunshine and roses with these external values.
Yeah.
What happens when those beliefs we inherit?
Mm-hmm.
What if they start to feel, I don't know, kind of stifling?
Ah, you're hitting on something really important. External values. Great guidance, sure. But there's a flip side. They can be a little rigid. Like that old house we talked about, remember? It's got charm, history, but you might not love every single room just the way it was designed decades ago.
Exactly.
Right.
So how do we know when it's time to, renovate?
Yeah.
When it comes to values, I mean.
That's where critical thinking comes in. It's about recognizing that what worked way back when, well, it might not work now. Our experiences are different, the world's different. If we just blindly follow those external values without questioning anything, we can end up feeling out of sync, like something's just not right.
Like trying to squeeze into a mold that just doesn't fit.
Exactly.
And that's where, if I'm remembering right, that's where those seed values come in, the ones we mentioned earlier. Tell me more about those. I'm really curious.
Okay, so seed values. This is what bridges the gap between internal and external values. And it's fascinating.
Seed values. So we're talking about taking those inherited blueprints, those external values, and actually customizing them, like making them our own.
Exactly. It's like we're not just handed a finished product, right? We get to be part of the process. We can take those external systems and use them to develop our own internal compass.
Okay, so it's more like a starting point.
Yeah. Think of it like this. Let's say you were raised with this big emphasis on generosity.
Okay, yeah.
Generosity, great value. But what does that actually look like in your life? You know, does it mean giving money to every single cause out there? Or is it more about like volunteering your time, supporting the causes that really speak to you personally?
I see what you mean. It's
Yeah.
about taking that value, that initial seed of generosity, and really making it your own, figuring out what it means to you.
And that can mean questioning stuff too, challenging those inherited beliefs even. Like maybe you were always told that success equals a high-paying career, but through your own experiences, you realize that no, for you, it's about doing something fulfilling, having a good work-life balance. That's you cultivating a seed value.
I'm starting to see how this all fits together. It's like you plant that initial seed,
Right.
right? And then your own experiences, your reflections, they all nurture it. And it grows into something new, something unique.
Exactly. And here's something interesting. There's this psychologist, Lawrence Kohlberg, and he had this theory about how our sense of morality develops. And it actually lines up really well with these seed values. He said our understanding of morality, it changes over time. We start out focused on external authority, but we move toward a more internal moral compass.
So we're not just accepting those external values passively. We're like wrestling with them,
Yeah.
shaping them to fit who we are.
Yes. It's a process, this back and forth between internal and external. And those seed values, they keep evolving too. Like they branch out, they get all tangled up with other values. And you end up with this complex, nuanced, ethical framework. And it's yours.
So it's not about picking one or the other then, right? Internal or external. It's about how they work together.
Exactly. It's about finding that balance, using those inherited values as a springboard to grow, to figure out who we are.
This has been eye-opening. So for our listeners, what's the one thing they should take away from all this? The question we should all be asking ourselves.
What if you tried to pinpoint one core value you got from your upbringing, and then one that you developed completely on your own? Maybe even one that goes against how you were raised.
Ooh,
What would those two values be, and how are they shaping your life today?
wow. Okay. That's something to think about. That's it for today's deep dive, everyone. I don't know about you, but I've got some serious self-reflection to do. Until next time, keep those values in mind, and as always, keep diving deep.